In today's video, I'm going to be showcasing common mistakes that people make when they are building out their main header navigation area, which is what you see here at the top of the page. Your main header includes your site title, which in this case is on the upper left corner, or your logo image, which we'll showcase here in a minute, which I'll replace with the site title. All of your existing main navigation links, so all the links to your internal pages, social media icons, calls to action, shopping carts if you're selling products. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So the first mistake that I see people make when they build a new Squarespace site is that they oftentimes have a very crowded and large header area. In my opinion, a header area should be clean. It should be void of distraction. It should be well organized, meaning if you have multiple pages, it's always a good idea to use the folder feature within Squarespace, which creates a drop-down navigation where you can nest like pages into a folder. Font size, font weight, background colors, gradients, section dividers. These are all elements of a Squarespace website that can be enhanced. So typically when you start a brand new trial website, you're sort of stuck with the existing layout that you had when you started the template. Squarespace is template agnostic now, meaning you have the option to create a bespoke custom header layout to whatever your specifications are. So what that means for you as a website owner is that when you create a new website on Squarespace and you see something like this where the padding is all off on the top and bottom, we've got all of these different main navigation menu items that are now bleeding over onto a second line. It just looks very chaotic. This is a pre-made template layout that comes with any template you choose on Squarespace. They're all different. What I'm going to do today is show you how to make it better, give you little tips and tricks of the trade, including how to optimize a logo image so that it's not taking up as much white space within your header area, how to optimize fonts weights, colors, background colors, menu optimization, just cleaning things up so that, again, you create an experience for all your website visitors that's pleasant. When you land on the website, this is your one chance, right? You've got, in the neighborhoods of 5 seconds to either keep somebody's attention or have them completely bounce. And so we want to avoid the bounce here. So let's jump right in. Okay, so the first thing that we're looking at is I've created a site here. It's called Crispy Lava Hot Chicken, right? And I'm going to go ahead and click into the edit button while we're in edit mode. Now you can see when you hover over the site header that this is actually the space that is taking up the header area. And I can actually just make this a little more clear. So I'm going to click into edit site header. I'm going to actually click into site styles, colors, light one. I'm going to hover over the header navigation. And instead of the menu overlay being, oops. Okay, so instead of the header background color being adaptive, which we can see in edit design, color adaptive, I'm going to set it to solid just so we can see things a little bit better here. Okay, click save. Awesome. Okay, so now we can actually see the site header, right? We're hovering over the site header area, and we can see all of the main navigation links that we've added, as well as our site title. Now we want to do a couple things here to make this look a little bit better. The first is we want to add a logo image. If you have a logo, it's akin to your front door to your shop, or your foyer to your hotel, or the window that showcases all of your beautiful products in your store, right? So if you've got a great logo, even if you've got a logo that isn't great but does the trick, add it. You can always manipulate a new logo down the line, but a logo is just in my opinion, a way to elevate your brand a little bit more, create a little more trust within your site visitors. So to add a logo image, you are going to want to click Edit Site Header, hover over the site title and logo section, left click on a Mac, click the pencil icon, and you'll see crispy lava hot chicken. You will keep this here and leave the logo image unchecked if you want to just show the site title. But in this case, we're going to add a logo. We're going to upload the file. We're going to select our file and click open. Okay, so what happens? So the first thing is Squarespace likes to default your logo height to 50px, which in my opinion, for the most part, is rather small. Meaning it's not going to be large enough to see very well on most screens. Now, depending on your industry, your brand, your vertical, what you're going for in terms of your brand aesthetic, you might actually want a very small logo. But in this case, this is a pretty big and bold website for a fried chicken company. We're actually going to want to blow this thing up a little bit, right? So to do that, we just use this slider, right? And so we can go from 50px all the way up to 320. So 0 all the way to 320. Now, what happens when we get it at 320? Look at here, right? This looks terrible. We've got a 320 pixel, which should theoretically take up this whole container space. But the problem is that this logo image was actually uploaded with a lot of white space around it. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to use a third-party tool like Canva to reduce the amount of white space around our logo image, so that when we go to increase the size of that logo as it displays within your header navigation, it is taking up more space within that container. This is the container, this blue box, right? Theoretically, this should fit and fill the entire size. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to jump into Canva. I'm going to recreate that image. Basically, what you do is you upload your logo image to Canva. You use the crop tool. You reduce the white space around your logo image, and then you re-download that as a PNG. Why a PNG, you ask? Because a PNG is the only file type on Squarespace that's allowed that will allow you to display a transparent background. Meaning, if I uploaded this logo image with a white background, it's going to look a little weird and funky on this sort of off peach color background header area. So PNG, Canva, upload your logo image, use the cropping tool, reduce the white space around your logo image, re-download that file as a PNG with a transparent background, and then we'll re-upload it. So, okay, I'm going to go do that right now. Okay, so we're back. So we've actually uploaded a different logo image, one that works a little bit better. So what we've done here is now you can see when we hover over the container space for the site title and logo, we'll actually see that this is taking up more space both horizontally and vertically. And the way that we did this was, again, we manipulated the size of this using the cropping tool within Canva. Canva is my graphic design tool of choice, but you can use any other tool that allows you to manipulate a logo. Okay, so we're going to click save, right? So we still have this major issue. And what is the major issue? Well, our logo image is taking up way too much space in the header. It's pushing down all of the content on our page. Now we've got essentially what looks like half of a page that is taking up the main fold, which is that area where you see the website when you first land on a page. It's taking up half the fold with just the header area. That's not what we want. Basically, what we want is a header area that's thin, that probably takes up no much more than the space that my cursor is drawing across the screen here. So let's go back into the editor, click edit. Squarespace has updated its header features and functionality, and you no longer have to choose from a menu of options. You now basically just hover over navigation, click edit, hover over site title, click edit, and then that takes you directly to the tools that you have available to you. You can also drag and drop these little editor boxes around the screen, which makes it really nice and easy to see specific areas of the page that you're working on without this sort of cropping it out. Okay, so this is our logo image. We'll see that it's at 320px, but when I slide it back down, now we can see that, let's see what 125 looks like. 125 seems to be a pretty good height. The other thing is that Squarespace also allows you to manipulate the mobile logo height. So this is independent and separate from your desktop. And you can increase or decrease the size there. Let's go ahead and set it at 90, and we can kind of see how that looks on mobile. You can also upload a mobile specific image. So if you want the mobile image to look a little different from the desktop because it just lends itself better to a smaller device and you've got a cooler, different logo that you want to display on mobile specific, you've got that option. So mobile independent from desktop, mobile logo max height independent from desktop logo max height. Okay, hopefully all that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, obviously you can leave a comment in the video or reach me directly via email. My email is included within the description here. Okay, so what's the next step? So we have our logo image. The next problem that we have is that when we hover over the main navigation, unfortunately, we've got these pretty long-tailed main navigation page titles, right? So franchise opportunities, that's a pretty large, word count, character count, that's taking up a lot of real estate within our main header navigation. So one thing I like to think about, and depending on your niche, what you're targeting for SEO, but if you've got like a 3-word main navigation page, consider dropping it down to 1 or 2 words, and you'll be real surprised about how much more space horizontally you're able to save just by trimming the character count on your main navigation page titles. The second tip is that if you've got multiple different page types that all fit together, you can use a folder. And a folder allows you to use a drop-down navigation to nest different pages. So again, you're not taking up as much header real estate within your main navigation. Okay, so what are we going to do next? The first thing I am going to do is show you how to get all of these onto one line. I really hate how Squarespace wraps the main navigation pages onto a second line, but then it's like there's no congruency to it, right? You've got now this reservations over on the far right side, and it just doesn't look very good. So to combat that, we can click into the site styles, we can click into the fonts, we can hover over the main navigation page titles, and we can see that the style is heading but the size is paragraph 1. So you can set a custom size. It's at 1.6. You can use the slider to take it down to 1.5, 4. And I always like to close that out so you can see how it would actually look. And now you can see just by reducing the site title font size from paragraph 1, which we can manipulate using the custom feature, down to like 1.4, we now have all of these page titles on one line. The only problem is that it's pretty busy now, right? There's a lot of options now in the header. Again, I like to strive for simplicity, and I like to strive for a header area that is void of too much noise. So what I would do is I would take maybe the cocktail menu, food gallery, menu, and reservations, and create a folder. So let's go ahead and do that. Click save. Click exit. Okay, so these are all my main navigation pages, right? And if I want to add a folder, I'm going to click the plus icon, scroll all the way to the bottom, and select drop down. And let's just title this drop down Explore Menus. Right? You know, if you're a restaurant and you're watching and you're thinking, oh man, he's way off on his phrasing and titles for these pages, just know that this is just a demo here. Anyway, so now we have a folder, and we can put in our food gallery in the first place. We can then put a cocktail menu in the second place. We can put a menu maybe in the first place. Right? So what did this do? Just move myself over here. We were just able to remove 3 pages from the main navigation and nest them into a folder. So you can see what I mean here now. We're working towards this simplicity, right? By doing that, we added a folder and nested pages within it. Okay, let's take it a little bit further. So I'm going to go ahead and click back into the site styles. I'm going to click fonts. I'm going to hover over my site navigation, and I am going to, so you've got style, right? The style is the heading. So you can set it as paragraph, you can set it as a heading, you can set it as miscellaneous, or you can select custom. Now when we select custom, this allows you to manipulate the font weight, the font size, whether it's italics or normal. You can use capital, you can use uppercase, you can manipulate the line height and the letter spacing. You can also change the font family to something completely different from the other body text you have on your page. So if I wanted to retain the same font style, but I wanted to change the weight, this is how I would do it. And by changing the weight, you're actually also creating now more space again on that horizontal plane within your main header navigation, which is going to allow you to input more content items, whether it's a call to action like book a reservation, whether it's social icons like a link to your Instagram page and your TikTok page, whether it's a shopping cart. You now have more real estate because you have reduced the font weight and the font size of your main header navigation links. So keep that in mind. This is a really important thing. Another thing is, you know, if I didn't have so many main navigation pages here and then this long title franchise opportunity, I might also consider like increasing the letter spacing size, right? increasing and decreasing the letter spacing size. If you've got maybe like 4 or 5 pages in your main navigation, it might be a good thing to increase the letter spacing so that you're just calling out those pages that much more by doing so. But for this case, we're going to take it back down to 0. Lowercase, uppercase, none. We'll keep it on uppercase. Line height. That's just going to increase or decrease. Okay, so I think we're in a good place. Awesome. So I'm going to click save on that. The next step we're going to jump into is sort of a short pseudo tutorial on how to add additional flair to your main header navigation. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to click edit. We're going to click edit site header. And we're actually going to reduce the space both above and below these main navigation links, because this is all just extraneous space that, in my opinion, needs to be removed and tightened up. So to do that, use this slider, and you can slide it all the way to the top and maybe give it a little bit of a buffer. That looks pretty good just right there. Okay. We click Edit Design. We've now got an option to customize the layout. Squarespace is going to give you these little thumbnails of how the layout appears. Your logo on the left, your main navigation page is on the right, your call to action on the right. Right, logo on the left. This one is logo on the left, main navigation page is on the left, call to action on the right. Let's see what a call to action looks like. Okay, so I just added a CTA, or a call to action, and for a restaurant this would be book your reservation, contact us, right? So you have the option of adding a button, your social links, a cart, an account. So this would be useful if you had customer accounts, which we don't, a language switch, all those elements, right? Well, let's go ahead and click save. Now what happened? Well, what happened was we still have too much real estate in the main header navigation. So what we're going to need to do, if you truly wanted to keep all of these elements, is we're going to have to pare it down even further. And what that means is we're either going to have to decide whether or not we want to use 2 words for our main navigation page titles, explore menus, franchise opportunities, contact us, things of that nature. Maybe we can trim that down. So let's try that first. Let's just remove opportunities and click save. So instead of franchise opportunities, we've now just got franchise. And let's remove the us from contact. Again, all of these small little additions are going to give us more space. About us, let's remove the us from about us. People on your website are going to understand what to do if they read 1 word instead of 2. We got to give people a lot more credit for the knowledge that they have when they're on your website. Most everyone understands that about is going to be an about us page and contact is going to be a contact us page. So I don't know why it did not change. Let's see here. I'm just going to do a quick refresh. Okay, we're back. So now we're getting closer. We've got explore menus. We've still got this hanger because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's why. We have 7 main navigation pages. That's too many, in my opinion. We could go back and we could make the font smaller and the weight smaller and potentially get it all to fit. But with 7 main navigation pages, 2 of which are pretty large character counts, It's going to be tough to fit everything on one line when you have both the main navigation pages, page titles, your logo image, your social links blocks, which are here, your shopping cart, and then your contact us button. So beyond reducing the character count of the page titles, you could also reduce the size of the logo image, which is going to give you more space. And another thing is, let's see here. Okay, we haven't talked about link spacing. So you can reduce the link spacing size too, right here. I wouldn't want to go too small. I personally feel like 1 VW is a little too close and too tight. But just by reducing the link spacing, we actually were now able to place everything on one line. So it's up to you, but let's keep it at like 1.3. Okay. And the element spacing might be what we want. So the element spacing, when we reduce that, actually allowed us to display everything on one line. Okay, so that's a pretty good representation of at least getting everything onto one line. I'm going to click save and I'm going to go back. And since we have 7 pages in our main navigation, I'm going to actually reduce that a little further. I'm going to change the title of this just to menus. Click save. And I might actually put, let's see. Maybe let's just put reservations in here. Okay. So now we've got menu, food gallery, cocktail reservations, franchise locations, contact about hours. But it also allowed us to create some more space, which is nice. And if we want, we can increase the link spacing now too, right? And spread it out across the whole header. Or we can tighten it up. The other options you have for logo are to display everything like this in the center, left or right, at the bottom. But let's just stick with the classic. Okay, that looks pretty good. So hopefully this tutorial was helpful in understanding the common mistakes that people make when they start a new Squarespace template and they have this predetermined layout that's sort of wildly off with a logo image that's tiny and a header area that's taking up way too much space. They put all their main navigation page titles in there and there's way too many. Maybe there's 7 or 10, maybe there's 2 words for each one of those page titles and it just all gets sort of chaotic. So using a combination of drop down menus, using the ability to just reduce the character count of your page titles, using the site navigation tools within the site styles to manipulate the font family, the font size, the font weight, the letter spacing, the height, the line height, all of those things also can create more space or less space within that horizontal plane. So that's just a good recap. And then finally, using an image editor tool like Canva to reduce the white space around your logo image will actually allow for it to display larger within your header area when you upload it to your Squarespace website. Okay, since we're on the topic of main header navigation, I figured I would just take it a couple steps further and showcase some of the other features available to you. So you saw what I did with the gradient and the background color. So let's take a deeper dive into that. So if we want to manipulate the background color, we can click Edit Design. color, scroll down to the background color, and we can choose. This is likely where you're going to want to stay, is within your color palette. Choose a different color there. You also have a slider to change the gradient, or you can upload your own RGB or hex or HSL color value, or use the color swatch picker there. Okay, so orange, and we can change the navigation color if you wanted to pop a little bit more. Maybe it's like more of a white. Okay, so you've got background color, navigation color, opacity. You got a blur effect if you want, which that's not really showing up. Or you can set your theme. Okay, so that's the solid background. This is the gradient. Gradient, I think, works best. It actually looks good here in this specific demo site. But if you have a full bleed banner image or a full bleed background video that is playing, and you've got your navigation links that overlay on top of the banner image or the video, the gradient can actually be a really cool, impactful design element to really add some flair to your design of your website. And you can pick a background color. And then you've got your navigation color, and then you can set the opacity as well. That's gradient. Adaptive is just going to adapt to whatever color is in your main section of the first section of the page. So in this case, it's yellow. Okay. You can also add a drop shadow. You'll see that appear here. Add a blur effect. Strong, soft. You can add a border, of course. And the border can encompass the entire header area like it does here, or just the top or bottom, or just the bottom, which I would probably recommend. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for following along with this video tutorial. Just remember that when you start a Squarespace template, you don't need to stick with whatever header elements display. Even after you've added all your main navigation pages, your logo image, you can manipulate and customize and really make bespoke designs however you see fit. And hopefully this tutorial really helped you to explore and expand your idea on what a good design might look like for your header. So I'm Travis. I own Coyote Moon Creative. It's a Squarespace web design studio. I try to create helpful videos for interesting topics within the Squarespace environment. I also post blogs fairly regularly. If you want to chat about a website project, I am always available. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.